Guy hitting, he's also an American. He played in the Astros organization. So line drive in the
No!
gap here. I'm going back and through the rolling side. You need to create that feel so that it becomes second nature. And when you're trying to hit 90 plus mile per hour fastball, it has to be second nature. It can't be something that you analyze through.
Hello, welcome back to another episode of Born Clutch. Excited that you're here because I have a very special guest today. If you haven't liked and subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and do that now. It means a lot to us here. Now, this guest, he's not only been a friend of mine my entire life, but he's also, his family helped raise me. And so it means a lot in that regard. And so I'm going to go ahead. Let me get into the accolades, what he's done, why he's so special, and why I chose to have him on the episode. Now, I need to let you know right off the bat, I messed up. All right. I forgot to move my mic around for like the first 10 minutes of the episode. All right. It was really 15, but I cut out the first few minutes. So, yeah. So, anyway. First 10 minutes, my mic doesn't sound great. So please excuse me for that. But from now on, I assure you it will not happen again. I've got the checklist. Everything's good to go now. As you can tell, I kind of got a little different setup going on. Moved around a little bit. Got some new earbuds, stuff like that. Now, let's go ahead, get into this, who he is. So I can tell you he's originally from West Tennessee, where I'm from. He's currently living in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Now, he has a wife, Savannah, and a little baby girl named Millie James, who's 3 months old. Now let's get into the special stuff, the sports stuff. So he was an all-state football junior and senior in Tennessee as a high school quarterback. He was an all-American high school baseball player, and he was in the senior top 50 in the country, ranked by Baseball America. He's good. He signed to go play baseball at the University of Virginia, but was drafted in the 14th round of the 2008 baseball draft by the Colorado Rockies. He played professionally for 9 years, all with the Rockies organization, and he had 2 winter ball appearances in Australia and Mexico. We're going to talk about the one in Australia. He was part of the 2012 South Atlantic League Championship team and a 2012 South Atlantic League All-Star. He retired from baseball after the 2016 season to come back to Chattanooga, and there he completed a business finance degree from Liberty University and is now working in the commercial insurance space at RSS Insurance in Chattanooga, Tennessee. This is Tyler Massey, also known as T to me. You might hear me call him that. Now, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this. First off, hey, welcome to the show, brother. Thank you. Thanks for being here, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I've listened in, and so it's fun to be a part. So thanks for inviting me and having me on.
Oh, nice. Which episode did you listen to?
I listened to like the first couple out of the gate, and ever since you talked about what you were doing as far as being clutch. I was just like, hey, I want to be clutch, and piqued my interest, and I was like, hey, I want to see what this guy has to say. So it's been awesome. So really an honor to be invited and be a part.
Thanks, brother. Well, it's crazy because I wish it was the case like I was 100% like clutch every single time. I think everyone does. But even like last night, it's interesting. Did you know I joined did I tell you I joined an esports league?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I have a good buddy who asked me to join, and I've played in a league in the past, but it was more. I took it serious. You know me.
Yeah.
Just like whenever we do something, we go balls to the wall. Like everything we have, if we can. Right now,
Yeah.
my life with 2 kids, and you've got a baby girl of your own. How busy
Hmm.
it is. And
Yeah.
so practice has been very limited on my side, and I'm coaching the women's team at Union still, and so
Hmm.
that takes up multiple nights a week, and I'm just finding myself where I'm not practicing very much. And last night it was I play Counter Strike, I don't know if you knew that or not, but
Okay. Okay.
yeah, CS:GO is what it is. I've been playing since like it sounds. Man, this sound makes me sound like a total nerd. Which I guess I am. I've been playing Counter Strike since 2000. It was when I was 13. So
Sweet.
yeah, so like 2003 is when I started playing it,
Okay. So you
and
put some time in.
oh
You put some
well,
time in.
there was a long break there. I started playing when it was like in 1.6 version, which
Hmm.
that was like 3 versions ago. It hadn't changed in 10 years. And so I played when I was at that age, and then I played for about a year and a half, maybe 2 years, and then I
Hmm.
stopped. And I stopped because I didn't have a computer anymore, and all I had was a laptop. But I didn't think that my laptop would be able to play it. But anyway, fast
Right.
forward, it was like 2016. They started really pushing it on social media, like YouTube. Really got into YouTube and like all the videos and the highlights, and I started watching it all the time. Like it was
Hmm.
literally me just watching Counter Strike videos, and I had an old buddy of mine, and he always used to say something to me that stuck with me. I'm trying to think of the exact phrase, but I'll sum it up. He basically said, "Why watch people do stuff when you can actually go out and do it yourself?"
I
And
like that.
yeah, and especially whenever I can, it's not like watching the NFL is a little bit different. I can't go out there and play. I guess I could join like a flag football league, but I don't really have any interest in that. But anyway, just getting back to it, I was just watching Counter Strike and I was like, man, I really need to play. And so I ended up talking to that same buddy. He was like the one that invited me to join the league. His name's Matt, but he goes by Bando. And he told me, he's like, and Harrison, you don't need a nice computer. You just need your laptop. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, you won't be very good on your laptop because it doesn't have all of the high, the frequency or the
Hmm.
hertz of the monitor. It doesn't have the graphics card that you really need to perform at a high level. He's like, but you can play. And so I downloaded it and started playing. That was, I guess, 2016 or 17. And so I've been playing pretty consistent since 2016, 2017. And
Sweet.
yeah, last year I joined some buddies of mine that I've known since high school, joined a league, and then we got Hold on, man. You know what I didn't even do? Man, brother, I don't know how you're not. You can't be hearing me very well. I normally when I'm talking to people, I'm talking to people through this, but I have my mic here, and it has been away from my face this entire time just because I thought my light kit was here at the house. Dude, you can probably hear me like 10 times better now.
I could hear you, but it's a lot better right now.
Goodness gracious,
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to play around with that sound setting that we just got for like the first like 15 minutes of this call. But
I
anyway,
could hear you. It's just a lot better now.
oh
So
yeah, well now that it's like at my face.
yeah.
Anyway, so I joined this. I said yes to my buddy asking me to join the league again after a year ago, where I was like, man, I don't think I'm gonna play anymore, just because I'm tired of like getting demolished.
Yeah.
We won like one game last season.
Whew, it's
Yeah,
tough.
yeah, and this year anyway. So I wanted to talk about like being clutch. So anyway, this year we had a game last night. We're actually 2-2 right now.
Solid.
We've won two wins by forfeit.
Hey, you got another win than last year.
Hey, that's true. That's so true. And we're trying to go to the playoffs, and like that's our goal is like make playoffs at least. And well,
Hmm.
last night we were playing, and I've been messing around like with some of my settings. I'm not trying to make excuses, but I've been messing around like sensitivity, which if you've
Uh-huh.
played like first person shooter on the computer, messing around with like sensitivity is like it's kind of finicky, like because you've been training for so long with one sensitivity that by changing it just a little bit, like
Yeah.
the snap can be a little bit, it's going to be off from,
Hmm.
so I've been like trying to play catch up with this new sensitivity that I like a lot better, but I'm not as confident with it, I would say. And it's
Hmm.
like okay, the best way I could say this, like, have you ever changed your batting like swing mid season?
Yep. Yeah, I was just about to, go there with the comparison because it takes time to kind of make the adjustments because you've done it one way for so long.
Yeah. Did you struggle when you did that?
Yeah, but in the long run, now being able to look back in the long run, it helped me a ton. But in the immediate, it was like really struggled. Really hurt the confidence. The mental game really had to step up in order to, okay, let me trust, what my coaches are telling me, what we're working toward, and then to be able to like, hey, like see the long term aspect of, all right, if I kind of was dropping my hands into a slot and it's going to help me get to the ball quicker, but the uncomfortability factor for probably the first 2 months, the first 200 at bats, um, I wasn't seeing dividends until the next season. And so that first 200 at bats, you had to buy in and trust that this work was going to pay out at some point. And as soon as you could get the feel back, a lot of times we talk about different things that we need to do within our routine, but it's like you need to create that feel so that it becomes second nature. And when you're trying to hit 90 plus mile per hour fastball, it has to be second nature. It can't be something that you analyze through. It's got to be that muscle memory.
Yeah. That's where I'm at right now, bro. So
You got
I,
to create some muscle memory.
well,
You got to get the 10,000 hours.
oh man, last night I was even talking to my buddy. I was like, man, I might have to take my sensitivity back down again
Mm-hmm.
because of how uncomfortable I am. And okay, so getting to the rest of the freaking story that I keep getting off track because I'm trying to set this up and like, well, anyway, so it's round like you play to 30 rounds. So first team to 16 wins in the game, and it's like 14-14, and like I make this move. That's my daughter. Hey, Hattie. Hey, baby. Hey, Daddy's on the phone. Okay, here. I love you. Bye. Um, um,
Awesome.
hey, I love that. I love that little buzz here. Anyway, so I am totally just lost my train of thought. Anyway, so it's 14-14, and I make this
There's
great
30 rounds.
30 rounds, right?
So
So I'm playing to 16. So if like
gotcha.
this is a huge round we're in, and I
Mm-hmm.
make this great move, I push forward and end up like kind of tucking away for a second, and then I'm able to hear the people like come in towards like the bomb site. If you know, they're trying to plant the bomb. They're the
Yeah.
terrorists. Anyway, so I make the move, and then I pop out and I whiff my shot.
Oof.
I know I whiff it and ended up like, and we ended up like it was 2v2, two people alive on each team, and so I
Mm-hmm.
missed my shot. I got taken out, and then my buddy wasn't able to clutch it up in the 1v2, and so I felt like I really threw that round away, and
Mm-hmm.
like really hurt a lot because I could just feel like the dejection in my team whenever that happened. And I'm the type of guy
Mm-hmm.
who like wants to be clutch, like that's, I freaking have a podcast about being clutch. Well, what I will say is like the positive side of it is round 15 or 30, excuse me, it was they went to 15, we had 14, and so it came down to me versus two guys at the end, and they had planted the bomb, and I'm like counter terrorist, like trying to go retake everything like that, and I was able to win the 1v2 and like take it into overtime. And so like I
Sweet.
so I ended up did clutch up at the very end, but having that and we unfortunately we ended up going on it, we lost the game, and so I felt like,
Okay.
man, my one round where I whiffed that shot and would have put us in a
Mm-hmm.
position, we weren't guaranteed to win that round by any means.
Yeah.
That guy could have clutched 1v2 like I did, but it would have put us in a much better position to win the game. But s- saying that, um, saying that, I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, man, my daughter is really big. All right.
I can't hear her.
Okay. Well,
She's
that's
good.
that's good.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I guess the real struggle was like accepting that I lost that, but And
Uh-huh.
then, but I guess all of the training, like luckily everything that I've been training people, been helping people do, I was able to come back and clutch up in the 30th round, which was nice, and my team, I think, really
Yeah.
appreciated that, but just didn't have a great performance. But I think the biggest thing that I've learned along the way is like recovering. Like
Hmm.
today, this morning, I woke up and I was like kind of sick to my stomach. Like for just briefly, I was like, man, I can't believe that game last night.
Yeah.
But anyway, but now I've like set it up. I'm like, okay, that's okay. You lost it last night, but how are you going to respond today? So like I've like mapped out like a new training schedule. I'm like I'm going to make this new sensitivity work. I'm pushing forward. I'm not going back. So I'm really
Uh-huh.
glad with what you said about like, hey, you didn't perform your best for those 2 months or that year it took you to do
Hmm.
it, but you kept going, and
Yeah.
and then you're able to push through the other side. And so I guess my warning for people, and sometimes you're not always able to do that, because especially if you're a pro ball player, you didn't really have a choice but to change if you wanted to go to the next level. So like
Right.
yeah, you could try to implement in the off season, but you don't always have that choice. Like when you need to make a change, would you recommend
Uh-huh.
just go ahead and making that change right when you know it, or do you think you should try to wait to the off season?
Yeah, that's a tough question, and that's something to, I'll share my opinion on it. There can be different situations, but it's something to discuss with your coaches and with your team, so to speak. And but for me, the situation called for changing immediately because I understood making that change. Your window to make it in baseball, but in anything that you're doing, is only so big. So as far as the time, and there's no substitute for in-game at bats. There's no substitute for being in those moments. Just like talking about the rounds that you were playing last night. You can practice as much as you can, but you gotta. There's a part of learning within the game too. So for me, it was making that change right away so that I could learn within the game, within a day-to-day grind, within the season, and so those adjustments can be made sooner, and I can see the dividends of the player that I want to be sooner than later. Sometimes when you put it off, you're also re-emphasizing those bad habits, and then that is just wearing on the time that you have to make the adjustment. Even further. If I took another 2 months doing what I was doing, it would be maybe another 2 months on the other end that I'd have to work to iron that out. So why not start today?
Yeah, I can't agree with you more on that. As far as waiting, like that, I guess we were having the same thought. I just wanted to get your opinion on it, because
Yeah.
I know it was a struggle for me last night, but at the end of the day, all good, no worries at all. Now, what are you working on right now? What's your main thing that you're working on at the moment?
Man, consistency in my day-to-day routine and in my habits and my actions. A little tough, like you said earlier. My wife and I, we just had our first. She's a 3 month old, so we try to put in some boundaries, put in some routine, but sometimes a wrench gets thrown into that. But controlling the controllables for me, and so I was a ball player. Now I'm in sales, and so uh, similar to being a baseball player, being an athlete, I can control my activity, I can control my habits, and that's what I can rest on. Whether the results come out or not, I know if my activities at a certain area, then the results are going to take care of themselves.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
what would you say your greatest challenge is right now, like with going into like sales and things like that?
Hmm, that's a great question. Um, I think just what I am doing on a daily basis is making cold calls, and so just overcoming that fear of failure or fear of judgment, and just like I said, controlling my output. Um, I know if I'm making a certain amount of contacts, doing the right activities, that the results will come, and that I will, and also like Similar to what we were talking about, let me start today. I don't have to learn every little thing I need to know before I dive into the fray. I can, absolutely have excellence in my knowledge base, but I'm learning a little bit every day and I'm diving in regardless because I know I'm going to learn as it comes and as situations arise.
Yeah. Yeah, when I was doing sales, I did video. Or I did video. I'm trying to. I want to show you something here in a minute, but
Yeah.
um, as when I was doing sales, I
Mm-hmm.
was doing phone sales. Did you know that?
Mm-hmm.
Did I?
I may have known a little bit about that, but not much.
So it was one of the most challenging times of my entire life. I'm not even kidding, because whenever you're whenever you're doing phone sales and people were expecting my call, like cold calling is one of those things that I would say is one of the hardest things to do,
Hmm.
because you're basically creating a connection out of thin air.
Yes.
No one is expecting your call, no one is necessarily always excited about getting a phone call always from somebody in sales.
That's true.
And so, like, being able to stay mentally strong
Hmm.
is is so difficult whenever you're doing that. And
Hmm.
my particular type of sales that I was doing, people were expecting my call. They were excited about the phone call that I was calling about. Now, it wasn't as easy because I had about 60 minutes to close a $2,000 deal, or I would never see them again.
Yeah.
And I would never talk to them more than like 9 out of 10 times. Like, if you didn't get the
Mm.
deal done, then you would never have a chance to to make up.
Follow back up.
Yeah, follow.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's just the thing about phone sales. Whenever you're trying to make that sale, and maybe there was a limiting belief in my part where, like, hey,
Hmm.
these people wouldn't call, or I wouldn't be able to call them again. They wouldn't pick up. It happened to be that way. And that's what everybody
Yeah.
within my organization always said, is like, hey, you get this one shot. If you don't close it, then you can pretty much say goodbye to them. And that seemed to be hold true. Now, if someone's found a better way to do that, rock on to you.
Yeah.
I cannot, I can't tell you, because I tried so many different ways, like the soft follow up. Hey, take some time, think about this. I
Hmm.
know this is a big decision. No, like, I tried that, tried it, crashed and burned. And so, like, being able to hear that rejection, with people, and being able to bounce back was always like the challenge, because you poured your heart into something, like you wanted it, like you want to help people, just like in your situation. You want to help
Hmm.
people with whatever they're working on, like, or with their life. You want to be able to
Yeah.
help them, get a better deal, make sure that they're covered properly, all that type of stuff. And
Right.
I felt the exact same way, except at the end, if they said no, I was like, man, I feel like I didn't fail myself. I feel like I failed them,
Right.
because I didn't do a good enough job of
Hmm.
obviously selling. I never liked thinking of it like, oh, I'm trying to sell you. I just like thinking of it like, I'm trying to inspire you. And so I felt like
Right.
I didn't do a good enough job of inspiring them. Do you
Hmm.
find that does that happen to you?
Yeah, for sure. And I can be kind of a people pleaser, and so when I'm unable to make so you say you want to inspire them. I'm trying to, in a similar way, just give the most education, and so that they can make an educated and informed decision. And with my baseline understanding of, hey, we are trying to prepare the best thing for you, so that once you're informed, this is going to be a no-brainer for you to go with us on the deal. Because at the same time, if ours isn't the best deal, I want to be completely transparent to say, hey, you have a better deal, with this other guy, and I think you should take advantage of that. So, with trying to people please, you can, whether it's the failure from a cold call or the failure from, not really connecting with somebody. Thankfully in my business, it can be more relational. If I don't get them on the phone call, I can drop in. I can continue calling year to year because these are, year to year contracts. And so hopefully I can earn their business in the long term. And the whole goal for me is to create 20, 30-year relationships to where I'm, a trusted resource helping business owners, kind of evaluate what they have and make them whole should, whether it's something small that happens or something catastrophic that happens, being able to be that resource for them. But it's not the moment to moment, one-off sale and then I leave. And that's what I like about it. It's, making the sale and then continuing the relationship, continue growing and building upon the relationships, deepening that relationship that we make from that first sale.
Man, that sounds easy.
Yeah,
I was in the wrong. I was just in the wrong area of sales. That's all. Yeah.
that's right. Well, and it's maybe I made it sound easy because, well,
I'm
they
just
might have
messing with you.
20 other people calling on them. Or, if you are trying to have them change their relationship, you are calling on somebody that has a 20-year relationship with uh, their current agent. So, not you're trying to build relationships, but not that you're going to break relationships, but you're changing, you're changing their viewpoint on a situation that they've thought one way for a really long time.
Yeah. No, I was messing with you.
I know.
No, I've had more than one sales job, and that yeah, I completely understand the challenge of it. So I can
Yeah.
it's a lifelong learning is what it is. And
Yeah.
truthfully, I've always heard this is that everything in life is sales. It doesn't matter
Mhm.
if you're selling, for your job, or if you're selling your wife on why she should continue to, be your spouse, in that sense.
Mhm.
Like, and I say sell, or
No,
in a very broad way, but like,
you're right.
like, hey, like, I am giving you something of value, because at the honeymoon phase ends. Everyone who's been married for longer than like 3 years, I would say less, you could even say less than that, knows that the honeymoon phase ends and the real phase sets in. And that's what I like getting into whenever I talk to people about relationships, or trying to help people with their relationships, is like their love language, and like
Uh-huh.
thinking of it like I love Gary Chapman's book, The Five Languages of Love. Have you read that?
Yeah, yeah, it's
Yeah.
really good book.
I like how in that book he does a good job of thinking about like your bank account. And
Hmm.
so, and how each of us have like a love bank account. And if we're constantly filling up our spouse's bank account, or we're depositing love into their bank account, then they're going to be more filled up and more fulfilled as well. And yeah, and I think that goes with every relationship, no matter what it is. If you're constantly pouring love into it. But anyway, getting back, like, your everything in life is sales. Like, if you're trying to sell somebody on why they should go see a movie with you, or if you're trying to sell somebody on where to go eat, things like that.
Right.
It's always potentially, it depends on how you look
Yeah.
at it. You could be the type of person that's like, I don't really care. You decide, but at some point you're going to be like, no, I'm tired of going to that place. I want to go somewhere different. And then you're going to have to, like, all right, why? So anyway,
Yeah.
yeah. So,
Yeah. I agree with that. I think everything is sale, helping your peers or your people you come in contact with, let's just find common ground, and that could be an idea of sales. It's like, how do we, what, not focusing on what we disagree on, but hey, what do we actually agree on? And, highlighting those things.
I love that. Yeah. What do we agree on?
Mhm.
Yeah. That's all about, that's negotiation right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so I'm the studio master here, so I've got a lot of things going on right now. I'm not at like the Logan Paul and Joe Rogan level yet, so I'm like having to like multitask here and make sure I do a good job of listening to you. But I think I found something, and I want to show everybody this, and I want you to like
give me like a step-by-step analysis of this, like not a
Okay.
step-by-step analysis. I want a play-by-play, like
Okay.
from T, aka Tyler Massey. Okay, here we go. All right, I think I've got it set up right. Let me do this. Oh yeah, hold on. All right, all right. Oh, whoa. I gotta take this back here. All right, let's make sure we got that. Okay, there's that. All right, I'm gonna put some sound in here too. Okay, so let me go ahead and set the scene. Did it work? Oh, it worked. Okay, here we
Yep.
go. All right, all right. So why is it doing that? All right, here we go. Play. Oh, I don't have any. No sound. No sound. All right, go T.
Yeah. You want me to? Okay. So we are in Adelaide, Australia, Australian Winter Ball League. Um, Guy hitting, he's also an American. He played in the Astros organization. So line drive in the
No.
gap here. I'm going back and through the rolling side.
I didn't think that
kind
was
of
legal.
a
I thought that
kind
was.
of a crazy play.
I thought that would be illegal. Hold on. How is this? So is it baseball? Like could you have jumped over like the outfield fence and like caught the ball? Like as long as what's the rule with that?
So as long as your body, a majority of your body is in play, and when you catch the ball, then it's fine. And I caught it right before going through the wall. As long as you make the catch, secure the catch, then it's it's an out. You can't just jump over and go catch it and you have your body on the other side of the fence. But you can catch it if the majority of
You're
your body's in
gone.
play. So we are playing on in Australia. We're playing on a cricket uh, pitch. So it's like cricket is an oval field, and so they had to put up these. It's going to be less impressive when I tell you because they had to put up these metal walls, just temporary, and then they take them down for the cricket matches. So, but all that to say, there's no warning track. Normally, we have, you see in the States the pebbles in front of the wall to kind of tell you once you hit that, it's like, oh, I have, 6 to 8 feet before I'm at the wall. So I was just going all out trying to make a play, and I think I didn't realize that I'm not in America and there's no warning track, and I just kept going through it.
Hold on. What happens if the ball goes through the hole now? What is that a what hold on.
So,
What happens?
so there's about a 30
It was
there's
all
about a
action from
15
the
to 30
get-go in
minute
the
delay of
championship
game there where
decided.
they had to go repair the wall and the sign, and we paused play. So
You
baseball
call,
games are long enough, but that
um,
made it a little bit longer.
so they literally hold on. So they went out there and repaired the wall before play resumed because it was probably
Yeah.
like a player hazard.
Yeah, and and also, I mean, I guess technically it would be a ground rule double if a ball went through
Yes,
there.
that's what I was thinking.
But the bar above was immovable, so they just had to reconnect that. And thank goodness my head didn't hit that bar, or else that could have been a different story. That would have been a concussion for sure. But I kind of caught and ducked under, and then just the sheet metal gave way for me. So I was okay.
You
But
pulled a Houdini. It looked like you. How did? No, now I want to go back and watch that again because it looked like you went through that top of the wall, but you bent your neck. What?
yeah, I just went right through the sheet metal part. I guess it's kind of like a football player, like running back ducking into contact. So I kind of was like, I'm really close to the fence. I'm gonna just duck a little bit and put my shoulder into it.
Did you like
And
examine the fence before, like while you were out there, like early in the game? Like, did you know what you were dealing with?
I I did take. We had batting practice, and so I'm just taking fly balls out there, and I should have taken a better note that there is no warning track. And but in the moment of the game, I just kind of was like, I'm gonna go get this ball. I felt like I had a good beat on it, and it was a little closer to the fence than I thought. And I did not know. I My first year in pro ball in Casper, Wyoming, I did the same thing, but there was a solid wall, and it did not give. I just splat. I just splat into it and had some pretty significant bruising. But so when the play happens, I'm like, I just want to go get the ball, and regardless of what happens to my body. And so that in that instance, it just paid off. And it was pretty cool because later that week, I guess it made its way back to the States and ended up being on like a ESPN Sports Center top 10. It was the number three play of the day. And then it was back on. It was like a top 5 play of the month. So it was cool to get Aussie baseball. And then, that was my first time being on ESPN. So it's kind of neat.
Man, look, oh man, okay? So like coming out of there, like that was clutch. That's first off, that was like bottom of the 7th right there. Are y'all the aces, or were y'all up?
Yeah,
y'all were up.
Yeah,
oh, dude, you just saved.
We're up, but that could have been a double, maybe start a big inning. And I knew that was a little bit deeper gap to that side, that right center gap. And I wanted to make a play because I was at least a double, maybe a triple, guys in scoring position, maybe the game starts looking different. And they were our kind of conference rivals at the time for us to try to make the playoffs. So that was on the road. That wasn't our home stadium. That was at Adelaide. So wanted to try to come up with a big road win.
Man, it had it coming out of that wall like, that's right.
I sprint out of there because I knew that within the rules that should have been an out, but I wanted to make sure he knew I caught that ball, so I just come running out of there. And then I kind of took an account of how my body felt. It's like, okay, I think I'm all right. I don't think I'm injured. But it was all good. It was just spur of the moment.
You might have had like some PTSD too, because you said earlier in your career you'd done something similar, and it was just a splat. So
yeah, a bug on a wall, a bug on a windshield.
Man, thank goodness for the offense.
Yeah, I didn't catch the ball on that one, and so I guess the second time was a lot better, and thankfully the fence did give a little bit.
Oh man, I feel like they should have like more of that, especially like the lower levels of baseball. Like, that I feel like that's like the equivalent of Shaq breaking the rim and the glass, like hanging there. So yeah, more of that. I feel like could bring some extra joy into baseball, because you're the only guy that I've ever known to go through the wall and catch the ball.
There's a couple highlights just from my baseball knowledge of like the 70s and 80s where I think it happened, and I don't know what they were making the fences out of back then, but like nowadays there's no way a wall's given out, barring you're catching a ball maybe in foul territory or something, or it's a spring training game. But those outfield walls now, I mean, and it's nice they have padding too, so but you're not knocking them down.
Yeah, hopefully those Aussies got a warning track, because man, like that you could have been injured pretty hardcore, like hitting your head on that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I was thankful, but they're not going to tear up the cricket field to make the baseball field. So they're like, let's just throw a fence here.
Cricket's like up there in like the biggest games in the world, like most viewed.
Yeah, it's as far as like worldwide. Yeah, just because of its popularity with India, and they have a huge. Their country's population, just sheer population, is huge, and so once it's big there's a huge following, and then it's throughout the Commonwealth of Great Britain, as far as like in the Caribbean, through Great Britain itself, and then through Australia and New Zealand. I think every Christmas, Australia and England play just like a match, and it's a big deal, and so it's kind of cool how America created its own. They like, even when we created our own country in 1776, we created our own game in baseball. After that, we're like, we're not playing cricket. We're gonna play baseball.
Yeah, get that out of here. Have you ever watched a cricket match?
Yes, I watched. I went to a couple over in Australia, and it's wild, man. I mean, just because it's an oval field and they can hit it any direction. And
have you held a cricket ball?
Yeah, they're like wrapped in leather, and they have just one big seam around it, and and you bounce it to try to hit the wicket a lot of times, and you're curving it and moving it, and then their bat is like flat. I don't even know if it's called a bat. I guess it is, and really they're just blocking it from the wicket, and then if they get a good pitch to hit, or I guess they call it bowl.
Yeah, bowl.
Then they can try to hit a 6-pointer is when it's out of the oval. Um,
Man, you know
so
your
it's
crickets. You know
pretty
your
pretty
cricket.
cool. Yeah.
Nice. Let's go. I mean, I'd probably say 95% of Americans don't know their cricket. I know a little bit of cricket. My funny story: when I was in 7th grade, my buddy Rorik, Seth, his family had, he was an Indian, and they had cricket watch parties. And so I ended up getting invited, because he was my best friend, invited to a cricket watch party and at a hotel that one of his like cousins or uncles owned, like the Knights
Yeah.
Inn here in Jackson. And we all
Uh-huh.
went over to like their big warehouse at the hotel, or it was a motel. Very shady, but we had a big watch party where like we watched cricket, and cricket games over here start at like 1 a.m. So
Yeah.
we were up watching cricket all night long. Like these guys, oh man, that was my first taste of cricket. And I was like, what is this crazy game? And
Yeah.
they were trying to explain it to me, making me eat their like the hot curry that they had. Like oh my goodness, Rorik's family thought it was hilarious every time that I tried to eat curry, because I can't handle it.
Oh man, I can't either.
Oh no, like people think like the Buffalo Wild Wings, like the hot wings are hot.
Uh-huh.
They got nothing
No,
on some curry, man.
it's
Oh,
it's different. It's different.
yeah, it is. It's different. I
Uh,
mean, I've never tried the
as far
hottest
as
wings, but go ahead.
like the cricket, they're trying to modernize that as well. With I think normally they play like 50 overs, and there's games like 2020s where they play 20 overs, or sometimes even less, to kind of cut down on the time of the game. And then guys are really going for it. You can't just block the ball. Guys are trying to swing for the fences more and trying to modernize it, like baseball. I think next year they're incorporating a pitch clock, and um, our attention and time they have our attention nowadays is decreasing more and more, because back in the day I think cricket's games last like 2 or 3 days for one
We
match.
were in this motel basement for like a day. I'm,
Yeah, I
I'm,
mean
we had
that
nothing to do but watch cricket.
that's like a short game. That's like a short game in one day. I'd be like, wow, okay, it was right on time. And they're just like, I don't understand.
Don't y'all have to go somewhere? Like, don't y'all have work? No, no,
Yeah.
we own the motel here, so thank you. Come again.
Yeah.
We'll. Oh man, I love Rourke's family. I miss them so much. Anyway, wow. So baseball. Oh, you were talking about like the shortened clock where the pitch count. I think they've already
Yeah.
started incorporating this in the lower levels. Is that
Yeah,
true?
and they even were when I was still playing in 2016. It would be like 20 seconds in between each pitch, and then even a batter could only call time, in the box one time throughout an at bat, and so you couldn't continually call time, and they wanted to incorporate, you leaving one foot in the box, so you're just not taking a ton of time, which, I get it, and I think it'll be better for the game, because with TV commercials and things now, I mean, you're talking about a 4-hour game, and these World Series games right now, I mean, they start at 8 o'clock at night, and it's like, with a 3-month old, it's like I can watch maybe the first 4 innings, and then I know I might be getting a 1 or 2 a.m. wake up call from our baby girl, so it's I'm gonna hit the hay, so I can't really enjoy the games as much as I'd like.
Yeah, yeah. I
Oh,
haven't watched like real TV other than like Tennessee games, and
yeah,
it's been a while. So, yeah, that's late. They need to. Yeah, hopefully that happens next year, because I've lost interest. If I can't watch a whole game, like, because
hmm,
it's investment, right? Like whenever you start watching a game, like you're investing your time in the
yeah,
game, and if I'm gonna be able to only watch like a little bit of it, like it's more for like time passing. Like if I'm at that
right,
level, like, hey, I've got like a little bit of time before bed, I might turn something on, but I get
hmm,
invested, and then I feel like I have to finish the game. And so yeah,
yeah,
we went to a Redbirds game here in Memphis about maybe 3 months ago,
Hmm.
something like that. We got some tickets through our bank. A buddy of mine works at the bank, invited us. We had a blast, even though they lost, because the pitch count, like, it was like you couldn't look away from the game, otherwise you would miss something because of the pitch clock. I was like, man,
Yeah.
this is great. And I think the innings, like between innings, was a little bit shorter
Hmm.
from whenever I had been to like Cardinals games in the past and stuff like that. So hopefully that, like, they are able to really make it next level, because if they can,
Yeah.
I'll
I think it's a
definitely come back.
great idea. Just to increase, viewership and increase, try to bring baseball back to America's pastime. Because now it's all football, which I get it. I love football too. So,
Oh, baby.
yeah,
Rocky Top.
this
You'll
weekend I'm
always
so
be.
excited.
Oh, baby. I just hope, like, next week, whenever I'm like recording the next podcast, that I'm able to like be like next level. I mean, right now it's like I am on the highest high of a Vols fan that I've ever been in my
Uh-huh.
entire life, because I really wasn't watching in 1998.
Yeah.
Really, I wasn't keeping up with it like I am now, since I graduated from
Hmm.
Tennessee. But them Vols, baby, big weekend.
Man, I'm still like a hesitant Vols fan as far as like I can't believe this is actually happening. And every Sunday after the game, I'm kind of like, I go back online and check the score. Like, okay, we actually won. All right.
This is not a dream.
Yeah. So I'm still like, I don't know. I don't know. I'm going to be watching and I'll have my fingers crossed. But so far, nobody's been able to stop that offense. So it's been incredible.
And our defense. I think
Yeah, that's what
that's been the
showed
biggest.
up against Kentucky.
Yeah.
That showed up against Kentucky in a big way, and I was like, if those two get put together, it's insane. There's been a lot of comparisons to the 2019 LSU team, just because talk about an explosive offense and then a bend but don't break defense, and the numbers are pretty comparable. So we'll see if we have the same result. They won the national championship, so I mean, to start this year, I wouldn't even thought we were in the conversation to be in the playoffs. So it's just crazy.
This is the wildest ride ever. Like, I'm
Yeah,
usually like when I watch football on Saturday, slightly depressed at this time of the season.
yeah.
And so this is like a new sensation that I could get used to. If we could just like,
Hmm.
let's just keep this going for all time, and that would just be great. I mean, because, all right, I know that's unrealistic. I'm obviously just kidding a little bit, but this is amazing. I mean, just think about this for 1 second. This is how Bama feels every year.
Every year, like we're in the playoffs. But like, no matter where you slice it, when Tennessee is good, it's better for the conference. It's better for football as a whole. Like, um, this will be so. Game day is going to be in Athens, so this will be the third time that game day is in the same city as a Vols game. They've been in Knoxville twice,
Mm-hmm.
so it's just kind of a crazy year. But it's like I said, it's good for football. Like, I'm sure Bama will end up in the playoffs again, or either us or Georgia will face them in the SEC title. So, them dropping that one game not might not be detrimental for them, but like, uh, just so crazy, just such a crazy year.
Yeah, I just got my ticket to the Vandy game, and in hopes
Nice.
that, like, that's the game, like the last game of the season, like the regular season, and it's like, oh
Hmm.
yeah, like this is the last game. Hopefully it's like all celebration mode for the season. Like, I kind of
Yeah.
went on, and I just have a bunch of buddies going to the game. You should come if you're. I don't know if I know it's
Is that in Knoxville this year?
no, it's not. It's in Nashville.
Nashville.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah, they're saying they want to checkerboard, the Vandy
Vandy.
Stadium because they don't ever go to their games. That would be cold blooded,
It
but
would
definitely doable.
very doable. I don't know all the section. I know that everyone I know that we're all in section U,
Okay.
and so that is going to. Man, I've got this like light hitting me right there through the. Let me do this right here. That's bothering me. All right, I don't know. All right, forget it. Oh, it helped. Actually, I did it. All right. So anyway,
Nice.
yeah, I could talk about Tennessee football pretty much all day long.
I know.
I,
I know.
I'm obsessed with it. How about your dad's team though? I'm so proud of him.
Yeah, man. They've had a good year. Their playoffs start tomorrow night, so we'll kind of see what happens in their league. Lipscomb is the big team
It's
to
Chattanooga
beat. I think they have to,
Christian is your
yeah,
dad's team.
Chattanooga Christian School or yeah, CCS. And so man, that who knows? They're on the opposite side of the bracket from Lipscomb, and so who knows what can happen. But they got a shot at it. So we'll see how far they go. But it's been a great first year for him and his staff, and so excited for those guys. Nothing quite like Friday Night Lights, especially here in the South. So it makes for a good time.
Are you so you said the game's tomorrow night
Yep,
and it's at home.
yep, yep.
Is there a
Against
live stream?
good pasture. There may be on their website. I'm sure there'll be some like radio content, and then um, I follow. I may be posting scores on like Max Preps, or somebody will be. Can kind of keep track that way too. So
Who are they playing?
good pasture.
Okay, okay, good pat. I thought you were
Mm-hmm.
that was like okay, good pasture. What a name.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. I'm learning more about that this league, and so and then next week could be I think it's CPA out of Nashville,
Oh, they're
but
good.
there'll be another home game. So we'll kind of see what happens.
Oh, I said they're good. I don't know if they're good. I just in the past CPA Christian or Chatted. Oh no, CPA. What does that stand for?
Um, it's something Presbyterian. I think it's Christ Presbyterian Academy is
Okay.
what it is. I believe. Yeah,
Okay, never mind. I was thinking of CAK, that of Knoxville. That
yeah, and
yeah.
they are in that league as well. But yeah, we played them during the regular season and beat them pretty soundly. So
Woo!
I
They've
don't know if
always
we'll
been
get them in the
good.
playoffs. Yeah, they're pretty good.
Yeah, in the
They're
past
pretty
they've
good.
always CAK's always been dominant. I feel like in most
Mm-hmm.
sports, but they ain't got Phil Massey. Mm-mm. Man, yeah, your dad, one of the best men I know. I'm thinking about asking him to come on the podcast. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, he can definitely speak to. I mean, you talk about 30, shoot, almost 40 years of coaching experience. He loved, talk about being passionate about something. Guy loves football. He watches it all year round. If he can find a game on, or they're just replaying a game, uh, he's passionate about football, and he doesn't. There's no plans to retire. It's just like coach as long as I can coach, just to be around the game. So
Yeah, when I stayed at I went and saw your parents on my way to the
yeah,
beach, and we stopped, and obviously I saw you and your baby, and yeah, your whole family, and your dad. Man, he had football on. We just sat back, kicked it, and just watched some football. He was even on the phone talking to somebody about football, like at a certain point. I was like, man,
yeah.
this guy could just, man, he could spin football around in his mind all day long, and I admire that. Like he's so dedicated, so passionate, and yeah, and how far he's come.
Yeah, he eats and sleeps it, and you spend enough time around one game like that, you're bound to pick up some knowledge. And but it's also about knowledge of the kids and how to inspire and encourage them. And as a coach, you're also trying to look into those love languages, or how they receive, and what inspires those kids to kind of give you that little bit more, whether it's late in the season, late in the game. How do you go about doing that? Not only scheming them up, but coaching them up as well.
See, that's my hardest as a coach. I coach college women,
Mm-hmm.
and I've coached the men's teams as well. I coached the men's team for 7 years, and then moved away, and then came back, and they asked me to coach again. The women
Yeah,
approached me and asked me to coach. I struggle with that. With like putting the X's and O's aside, and it's something that I've gotten way better at over time. But when I show up to practice or games, like for me, like in the past, it's especially when I've played too, like it's all business. Like I'm all about, okay, what's my goal? Like where are we trying to go? And I forget that, hey, the only way we're going to reach that goal is if we come together and trust each other and become one, right? Like you have to become, if you're a team of any kind, you have to become one unit that are fighting for, whatever you want. And so like
the same goal.
The same goal. And so that's something that I've always struggled with as a coach is remembering that. And I constantly have to go back to it, and I pray about it before practice. I'm like, God, please help me connect with players on a deep level and just and care about them more as humans than players, and helping them get what they want out of life versus just out of the game. And so that's my prayer to myself all the time. And I'm constantly improving. I'm only like 30 years behind your dad. But like there's there's a reason why he's where he's at, and it's because he's put so much time and effort and energy and love into it all. And so I'm trying to do the exact same thing on my end. Did you have, obviously playing professional ball, like it's the exact same thing, but I would say even more so because I'm a volunteer, right? Like I do it like as a volunteer, like that's like a way that I serve my community. I don't get paid necessarily. They sometimes they'll give me a check or a nice gift card at the end of the year or something, but it's I don't expect that. And so going into like your baseball stuff, like whenever it's all business, that can probably be even harder for coaches to put that business aside and be able to get back to you as a person. Did you find that when you were
Well, I found the best coaches that I was able to have were the guys that could there's the old saying, it's like your players aren't going to care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Yes.
And so the coaches that could, start there and be more relational and not just transactional in how it's like, yes, I want them to know what they're doing as far as scheme and the X's and O's. But at the same time, if they can't even, know my name or know much about my family or know what my strengths are or take a personal interest in my goals as a player, not that you have to micromanage everything down to that, but it's like just little things like, hey, I heard you got married this off season, congratulations, just little things like that kind of separate those coaches that are more relational. And so then when they do paint this portrait of the ultimate goal for the team, I'm buying in because I know that they have not only the team's best interest at heart, but my best interest at heart. And I'm ready to, go to battle for them, so to speak, and for that goal that they've kind of laid out there for us. So, I had a hitting coach back. His name's Lenny Sakata. He was on the 1983 World Series team with Cal Ripken, Baltimore Orioles, and that guy, he knew I wanted to work and I wanted to be a great hitter. And not every hitting coach, especially in pro ball, would do this. But I mean, the guy would go to breakfast, and one day a buddy of mine, we were, we don't play until 7:00 at night most of the time. And this is like 10 a.m. And you play at 7, sometimes you're at the ballpark till midnight and it's already 10 a.m. And Lenny would be like, hey, let's go to the ballpark right after breakfast. And I'll throw you batting practice for as long as you want to hit. And we'll work drills for as long as you want to hit. And so just being available, seeing guys that have a work ethic, seeing guys that care and, caring as much as they do, regardless of, if I made it to the big leagues or not, it wasn't going to necessarily make his career, but he just saw where I was and what I wanted. And he was willing to, help me try to achieve those dreams. So that was big time. And then, our manager in 2012 when we won the Sally League, Joe Mikulik, he's famous for getting thrown out of games. He's on some of those top 10 blow-ups. So you have to follow him and see it. He was the guy that was like throwing bats. You've probably seen it on ESPN, throwing bats out of the dugout. But like, you want to talk about somebody that's passionate about his players and passionate about the game. The reason he gets that lit up is because something happened, whether it's a player was done wrong by an umpire, or there was a bad play at the plate, or whatever it might be. And he's like, I'm gonna lay it all out there for you because I care about you and your career. And so, not only did he show that in the game, he showed it off the field, on the late night bus rides, in the hotel. I mean, he was for you, and there was no question about that for the whole season. That guy was for you and wanted the best for you. So playing for guys like that, it's easy, and it makes it, as far as coaching, like how do you care about your players on and off the field? It's like, yeah, you do, but how much do they know it? How much do you communicate that, and how can you communicate that in different ways so it speaks to their love languages? Whether they're words of affirmation, or they're like, hey, you need to go get thrown out of the game before I really respect you. Some guys that translated to. So I don't know. I don't always say you have to do that, but some guys it translated to them that way.
Yeah, if I got thrown out of it like an ultimate game, then I probably would never be like let back into the community.
That's fair.
Yeah,
but
so
just speaking up for them in a respectful way might also go just as far.
yeah, no, I completely agree. And so like that's what it brings. I think that is really important, because something that is really difficult is lots of times, and this is the same way with your love language as a human. Like whenever you have your spouse and you're talking to them, lots of times we're always giving off our own love language, right? So like if I'm like, if I love words of affirmation, excuse me, I always love giving off words of affirmation. Like, so I'm like, hey, good job, things like that, because that is one of my love languages.
Mm-hmm.
But what I have to remember is that, what's your love language? What is like what's and everyone's different. Some people are like have like their love language their love languages are gifts. Except the dialect of that love language is that you make the gift.
Yeah,
right? It's
homemade.
not like, yeah, homemade. Like that means you spent time on making the gift versus just going out and spending the money. Like with like just a simple like ease. Some people would say that's easy. Is like, I can easily get on Amazon, buy something, wrap it, and then give it to you. But if I like wanted to like give you a gift and make it, now like I had to like go through the time, I had to create, I had to like think, I had to do all those things. So yeah, so like that's and so just getting back to it, that's what I have to remember as a coach as well, is that I need to make sure I show love languages, but it needs to be their specific love language, whoever it is that I'm talking to on the field. And be able to balance that out, like, because some coaches I know just never want to call somebody out. Like they never, like, and I've struggled. I've been that coach. Like I've been like, hey, I'm not going to call anyone out ever. But then I realized, man, if I don't ever call anybody out, then everyone just no one knows what they're doing wrong. Like if I so like I've had to like do a nice,
and you start losing the respect.
Exactly.
The respect of your team.
Yes. Yeah. So I've like, that's how I've evolved as a coach over the years. And, when I say coaching, like that's everything. Like if you're like a manager or like a leader within your organization, it's the exact same thing. Like, cause I went through this time period where I was like, you're doing a great job. Like, even if they weren't doing a great job, like, cause I was like in the beginning, like our team, when I started, the team at Union University, like I helped start the men's team with my buddy Jesse Doms. Like he was officially the starter, but I was the first coach that they brought in and things like that. And when I got there, I was thinking to myself, I was like, I'd never coached before anything. And I was like, man, if I tell everyone they're doing great, man, all of a sudden now they're going to start believing that they're great. And then they're going to they're going to be even better than they are right now. And while that while that makes logical sense, or while it made logical sense, at least to me, what happened was it built everybody up on like this house of cards where like they thought they were great in practice. And then like whenever we show up for competition and they're really like, they can, see the scoreboard and they see like, okay, like I'm actually like, we kind of suck. like Harrison's basically just been lying to me like these past
Yeah.
like
We
3
weren't in
months.
reality.
Yeah, we were not
Yeah.
in reality. So like that was something that like I had to stop doing. And like now I really only tell somebody that they did a great job if they did a great job. Otherwise, I tell them, you know, if they did a good job in my mind, I tell them they did a good job. You know, I really try and watch my
Yeah.
language
So your
around.
words carry weight. Your
Exactly.
words, it's truth.
That's
Yeah.
exactly right. Like I wanted to be the coach that like if I came up to you and like patted you on the back and was like, "Hey, you did a phenomenal job out there." Like that would mean like it would be like huge. You know, like
Yeah.
that's that like you're saying it carried more weight. And so like that's
Hmm.
it my coaching has evolved in that way over the years. So I like what you said
That's
about
awesome. It takes time, man. I mean, coaching is like one of the, you kind of, it's a sacrificial thing. You got to have empathy, but you also have to come down on players when you need to. And so just walking that fine line